Good evening. Welcome. This is the Living in Utah live question and answer session on Thursday evening at 8 p.m. I welcome everybody. This is an opportunity to bring your questions, and I will try to provide an answer the best I can. If I do not have an answer, I will research it and get back to you the next week. This is not my typical little studio that I use. My house at the current moment is a little bit of turmoil. My relatives are on vacation, so we are animal sitting. So my animals are upstairs. Their animals are downstairs in my basement. So I had to just pop into the office here and quickly rig something up, and hopefully the camera holds up and everything holds up. So it is... we'll see how it goes. Andy, right on time. Yes, thank you. I did read your comment the other night on my Layton, Utah video that I did. I believe you made the comment about possibly going to the people's houses and saying that this is the home and the particular price. And I've considered that. The dilemma that I have is it's hard to stand in front of someone's home when they're living in it and videotape and take one or two takes without possibly upsetting a few people. That is the dilemma. So yes, so it's a challenge. It's a challenge, but it's a great idea. If I could find a way to possibly to do it without upsetting people and ask, what are you doing, and et cetera, it would be a little bit difficult. But I have done that, though. I have done that, not on a YouTube video per se, but when I've worked with some clients and we've been looking at neighborhoods, I'll pull up some sold data. And as we are looking at stuff, sometimes we'll drive around the street and I'll find the address. And I'm like, well, that house sold for this amount and that amount. So anyways, all good. In the state of Utah, over the last week, it has been warm, very warm. We have set some record temperatures. Earlier in the week, we were hitting 107. We've now dropped down to about 98, which is not the normal. We are probably typically this time of year more like a 90-degree area. In July, yes, 98 degrees, common, but not in June. So we are setting records all over. It is warm in the state, very warm. So, Andy, I understand. How about driving by, comment as you drive by? Yes, that could possibly work too. Yes. Then standing in front of somebody's house, definitely. That could possibly work. So the state of Utah is it's very dry, fire danger. There's a lot of everybody's worried about the 4th of July. There are some restrictions on fireworks in the state of Utah. A lot of the properties east up towards the mountainside is cutting off fireworks, and that's where your potential fire danger can be with it, with the trees and the fuel for the fire. So that's where we're at. So in the news this week, a couple things to talk about this week in the state of Utah. I thought this was pretty interesting in the news. Salt Lake City is 25th on the list of cities where mail carriers are attacked by dogs. And I guess I wasn't totally surprised about that. There are a lot of pets in the state of Utah. So very common for families to have pets. So the more pets you have, the more chances of attacking the mail carrier. So, and I would imagine a lot of this would be only on the walking routes that some of the mailmen have. In a lot of the neighborhoods where you have the community box or people have their own individual mailbox out on the street, they do not get out of their vehicle to deliver your mail. They drive up to your box, open it up, put your mail in. So I would imagine it's primarily on the walking routes, would be my guess. All right. So that was some of the news. And I brought up a couple other things. Somebody contacted me, and I had talked about triple net leases, commercial property, triple net leases, how I like triple net leases. I'm a big fan of triple net leases. And someone had asked me, what is a triple net lease? So triple net lease, there is actually what they call a single net lease and a double net lease, and then a triple. So you either have one end, two ends, or three ends. Single net and double net leases are not talked about a lot. Triple net lease is the big boy in the commercial industry. So if you're investing in property, a lot of people talk about triple net leases. But if you had a single net lease, the tenant who rents would pay rent, and in addition, on top of the rent, they would also pay property taxes. So the property taxes were, say, $12,000 for the year. The tenant would get a bill for $1,000 a month to cover the property taxes. A double net lease is the exact same. The tenant pays insurance or pays rent. They will pay property taxes and they will pay insurance. So the landlord typically will get the policy and bill it monthly or yearly. And the tenant would pay property taxes, rent, and insurance. Now, when you get to the triple net lease, it gets even better than that. And I call it, because you typically see it listed as NNN, and I call it no, no, and no. So when a tenant says, will you pay the property taxes? No. Will you pay the insurance? No. Will you fix the place? No. And that's pretty much what it is. So you have your rent, you have to pay property taxes, you have to pay insurance, and you have to pay maintenance costs as a tenant in one of those buildings. That's why triple net leases are ever so popular. Yes, so it's different than residential leases. That's why a lot of people like the commercial side of it. So you're getting your rent and you're paying no property taxes, no insurance, and in some cases, no maintenance costs. So, and that all gets labeled in an agreement of who's going to pay what. So that is what a triple net lease is and why it's so popular. And that's why I love commercial property with triple net leases. So, and most of the big boys and the big investors with multi-million-dollar projects going on, they'll buy property and they'll build the building for something like a CVS pharmacy or a Walgreens, and they will rent them on a triple net lease. So very, very popular. Any questions, just shoot them on the screen. Had a couple more things too that has popped up over the last few weeks that I made some notes on. As far as inventory goes, we've got about as of right now, we have 3,042 homes on the market along the Wasatch Front. So that would be Logan down to Provo, Orem area, Spanish Fork, Utah County, all those counties. So we got 3,042, which is up. We've been in about the 3,000 range for the last couple of weeks. A couple months ago, we were about 1,900, 2,200, 24. So it has increased a little bit, and that could be due to the summer months. But a comment that I receive a lot, and I've even seen in the local newspapers, you can't buy a house in the state of Utah. People from California are coming here, cash, wads of money, paying cash for homes, and people are being left out. Well, in my opinion, that is not 100% correct. I pulled the data. There were 4,256 homes sold over the last 30 days. So from today, go back 30 days. 4,200 plus homes sold. 758 of those homes were purchased with cash. The rest were some other kind of financing, VA, FHA, conventional loan, or maybe seller finance, et cetera, et cetera. Only 758. That's approximately 17% of the homes were paid with cash. Now, they do not have a breakdown as to where the individuals who purchased a home originally came from or what state, et cetera, et cetera. So that could even be people in Utah. Maybe you've sold your home, it's paid off, and you upgraded to another home, you had some money in the bank, and you paid cash. So it could be people from Utah that live in Utah. It could be people from Texas, Arizona. It could be people from California. So only 17% of the transactions were cash. So there still is hope out there if you are financing a home. That's the bottom line. So it's not as doom and gloom. And of the 758, some could be investors in the state of Utah too. Their offers look better if they pay cash. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll pay cash and refinance after the fact. They'll do a little bridge loan with somebody, come in all cash, and then as soon as they close on the property, they will then put a mortgage on that home and repay back what they borrowed, plus some fees for the bridge loan. So that's what we have in that category. Also pulled some other data when we talk about interest rates. So I ran some numbers on interest rates, and I just picked a number, and this might get a little bit confusing. I'm trying to explain it the very best that I can. If you were to finance $500,000, just straight up $500,000, I'm not talking property taxes, PMI, insurance, all the other stuff, just $500,000 at a 3% loan, your payment would be $2,108. And of course, you would have the other fees on top of that. But let's say the interest rate goes to 7%. Not uncommon. It's been there before. Not unreasonable. Your payment would be $3,326. That's the difference in buying power. $500,000 home, $3,326 compared to $2,108. If it went up to just 6%, your payment would be $2,997, about $800 more than a 3% loan. And that is what is fueling the housing market around the country. Buying power is increased at these 3% interest rates, and a lot of people are trying to get in. So I also ran those exact same calculations to get an idea if the market took a downturn. Let's just take the 6%. Let's say the market went down or interest rates went up and the market came down. So if we went to 6% loans to get the same payment is what I was trying to compute. At 6%, we would have to purchase the home for $350,000. That $500,000 home would have to be purchased roughly for $350,000, $150,000 deduction. That would make the payment, a $350,000 loan at 6% would be $2,098 plus any kind of taxes. At where today at $500,000, we're $2,108. So it's very similar. It's $10 difference on my calculation there. So if we go to 6%, basically you would have to purchase that home to keep the payment roughly the same. You would have to purchase the home for $350,000. So kind of gives an idea of how. So basically, to save money, you would really have to get it for even lower than $350,000 if you were at a 6% mortgage rate. Because at the $298, you're about the same payment as $500,000 at 3%. So that gives some hard numbers on how far the market would have to drop if the interest rates went up. So a lot of variables in that, and I don't know where the future is heading. Personally, I think that I don't feel the rates could possibly go much lower. I think we probably could be increasing. I was listening to what the Federal Reserve said yesterday, and there was no indication of any kind of increases from them. They were talking maybe 2023. but we'll see how the rest of the year pans out. They have adjusted their figures. There is more inflation than they anticipated. And the whole inflation thing is something that is confusing. My definition of inflation and the government's definition of inflation is different. I feel anything you buy on a daily, weekly, monthly basis is what should go in the inflation numbers. Food, clothing, gasoline, utilities, car payments, etc. That's what really affects the average consumer. The federal government does not put food and gasoline in their calculations for inflation. They have their own reasoning for that. At one time, it was included. But to me, true inflation would include those items. That's what the average consumer buys on a weekly, monthly basis. Their money is affected by it. So that's what it would cost. Rough idea, where we're going here. Who knows with everything like it is. I do personally feel if the interest rates take a bump, the market will cool a little bit, especially if we go maybe 3.5%. 3.5% really probably would not change it. Instead of maybe 20 offers on a home, we may end up with 2 offers on a home. If we bump up to maybe 4%, then it could be maybe stable. Instead of above asking prices, maybe homes are selling maybe for asking price. That might be how we go. It's hard to say. We'll have to see how it pans out in the future. A lot of things like that. Any questions this evening we can answer? Just a beautiful day here in Utah. Doing some yard work last night. A little bit warm out there, but had to put some bark in, and I've been putting it off. So last night was the start of it. Just did about half of it since it was a little bit warm. But it's about what's going on in the state of Utah with everything going on. The state is seeing record levels of tourism. Also, the tourism numbers in the state is very good. Our parks are very busy. And I personally think that's due to the fact of the COVID virus. A lot of people did not get the opportunity to go on vacation last year. And now people are like, I just want to get out, go somewhere, just get away from my home, wherever that is located at. And I totally understand that. So I know our campgrounds here in Utah are jam-packed. A lot of people are heading out camping, UTV, boating, dirt bike. People are just trying to get out. Although during COVID, we were wide open. People were doing these activities last year in the state of Utah. But it does seem just as packed as last year. So state is open for business. Great. Any more questions this evening before I wrap it up and call it a evening? Well, I thank everybody, and I will be back next week, same time, same place. Thank you.